Do you guys hear that when it starts, when it does that voice? It's weird, isn't it? I don't know why Zoom has done that. Okay. So Lynn's gone. She was just feeding her animals. Now she's gone completely. Okay. We will start anyway. Beliefs. Yeah. This is week 5 of the Awakening Calls. And this is the week when we really start to look at some of the beliefs that lie behind all of our doing, all of our thinking, and that create our reality, basically. So in the email that I sent out for this week, I asked you all to have a little think, a pre-think about one belief which you know comes up for you again and again. Okay, and causes, can either be suffering, it can cause confusion in communication, it can cause you to feel uncomfortable in many various ways. It can cause problems in your relationships. Okay, so maybe you did give it a think, maybe you didn't give it a think. I'm just going to explain a little bit more in more detail exactly what we're going to do today and why I want you to get really clear on this one belief. So the whole philosophy, you could say, behind working with our beliefs is that they come from a functional place. This is really important to recognize, first of all. Our beliefs that are causing us problems today came from a functional place within us. Okay? But it was functional in a certain place and time. Okay? So probably the beliefs that cause us discomfort and inconvenience and suffering today were formed when we were a lot younger, a lot less emotionally mature and mentally mature than we are today. Okay? So recognizing that actually it was formed at a time when it was functional is very important, because otherwise we will have a tendency to reject that part of us, because of course as soon as we believe that we are dysfunctional, we go into very strong resistance. All right? So it's a belief that was caused and had a function, but it had a function in a particular time and space. And as we mature and our lives develop and we take on more responsibilities, our relationships get more complex, that belief, if it is not developing with us, becomes dysfunctional. It is the belief that's dysfunctional, not us. All right? So really important to remember that. And I'll talk about myself to give you a concrete example of the type of things I want us to look for this evening. So for me, a belief that I have, which I recognize is still causing me problems, is that I always have to be the good girl. Yeah? When I was growing up, I was 2 and a bit years older than my sister. We have very different personalities, and I was the quiet one. She was a difficult baby. She cried a lot. And that polarizing at that early age meant that very, very often I was hearing, isn't Sarah good? Isn't Sarah lovely? Isn't Sarah happy? And very often my sister was sort of the one, oh, Polly, don't be so awkward, don't be so difficult, don't be so this, don't be so that. Okay. Now, because I always received praise, that belief served me. Yeah. It made me feel very safe within the family and within the extended family as well, and with friends. It gave me a positive identity and made me feel loved. All right, I got a lot of acknowledgement for being the good girl, a lot of praise. So it's that kind of belief that I want us to be looking for this evening. Yours may be similar. Again, we're all girls. It may be very different. It could be the polar opposite of that. You know, my sister, if she were to do this exercise, looking into her beliefs, gosh, I don't know what she would. I don't know what hers might be, actually. It's funny. Hers, I remember hearing from her a lot, was it's not fair. 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 And so maybe that was a belief that gave her a sense of justification, of righteousness, indignation, and therefore justification to fight for what she wanted or what she felt was what was more balanced, because I was getting all the praise for being the good one and the nice one and the pretty one and the easy one and the happy one and the whatever. So we all grow up and we create these mechanisms. So the shadow side of that is that I didn't learn to connect with my real emotions. If I was angry or if I was frustrated, I didn't know how to express those emotions because I felt that only happy Sarah, lovely Sarah, smiley Sarah, easy Sarah was the lovable Sarah. So all other emotions which needed to be expressed got kind of swallowed down so that I could, as much as possible, always present this persona, this mask. Yeah? So I'm going to leave it there. We're going to explore deeper, but I want us to take that as our starting point. So I'm going to give you now, let's say 5 minutes. No, we'll take a bit longer. We'll go to 20 past. So 9 minutes. Is that too long? Let's start with 5 and see how we go. We'll take 5 minutes. And I want you just to either do some thinking or some writing around your belief that was created with a very clear function to protect you, to make you feel loved and safe, but which you now recognize is not serving you. So just actually to go a little bit further, so for me to now identify that belief as not serving me is that I find, if somebody asks, how are you feeling? Quite often I'll go straight to I'm fine, If somebody's really asking me, like if it's somebody close or in a therapeutic relationship, and I know that I have to find my true answer, I'll feel numb or blank. And that really frightens me, because I realize I've really disconnected from actually, what do I feel? What do I want? Okay? So that's just to give you the context, using my example. So we'll take 5 minutes. I'll set the timer this side. You can close your eyes, you can go into a meditation, you can journal, but try to, either starting from now, what causes you discomfort, try and follow it back, or maybe you're already aware. and you can recognize that there was a point in your life where you developed this belief, and you can see how it's followed you through your life. Okay? So 5 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? No? Alrighty. Okay. Off you go. You cleaning?
No.
Like your heart energy is very strong today, Capucine. Got a nice
Yes, that.
green glow. Yeah. Look at that. Wow. So I think Capucine's done. Lynn and Tessa, when you're done, just turn your videos back on so I know. And we can continue even if it's not yet 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Yeah. I thought it was really difficult. It's not working.
It's not working.
No.
That's okay. It's broken.
Yeah.
No problem. We can work on it together.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start with Capucine today because you seem to go through that quite quickly. Do you want to share a little bit how you see this, Capucine?
Yes.
Mm.
So I went back to the the fraud syndrome that I have
Mm-hmm.
as a freediver.
Mm.
So this is my starting point. So I was wondering where it was coming from.
Mm.
To just track back. That's what we were supposed to do, kind of.
Yeah, that's one way
Okay.
to do it. Yeah.
So I have this feeling since I got, since I tried to first become a professional at it, at freediving in 2012, because the instructor I was with to become an assistant, like a free dive master,
Mm.
just yell at me after one of my best dive ever. And I was feeling so good during that dive. And as I was coming up from a very long dive and like a very deep dive, I noticed that I didn't have any safety diver. It was because this instructor was talking to my safety diver on the surface. And I thought, that's not really good. Yeah. But I said, oh, okay, I'm going to take it easy and just make a joke out of it. And so I came up to the buoy and I said, hi Tex, how are you? And like I kind of wanted to tell him, hey man, you're just talking to my safety diver and I just come up from long dive, not dangerous. And then he yelled at me like and insulted me and whatever. So me having the good girl syndrome too, I'm used to do what I've been told because I feel from my childhood that this is a way to have love from authority.
Mm.
So I feel as a fraud, as a freediver, because this guy yelled at me and I felt like a big injustice and a big, and I also, it scared me too.
Mm.
From this point, I thought, oh, I can't trust myself because apparently I've done something very wrong because I was talking to him instead of doing my recovery breath. And he ruins the best dive I've ever had. And so I'm not trusting myself ever since.
Mm. Okay.
So that is coming from, I think, the belief that I believed him because it comes from the belief that he's the authority, he's almighty, and to have love from this guy, I need to be perfect, and I failed. Is this what we were supposed to do?
Yeah, it's okay. I would I mean, I wonder if we can, because you reacted to his reaction, yeah, and his reaction wasn't great, but probably you reacted in that way because of something that was already there in you. So like you said, I was coming up like, okay, no safety diver. You tried to make it jokey. You tried to make your point in a way that was not confrontational, that was not going to shame him or make him, in fact, it did anyway. But for me, I think there's something even deeper in there of, yeah, I mean, you had every right maybe to come back to the surface and go, I'm okay. Where the fuck were you? Yeah. And you didn't. And so why did you not feel that you had the right to say, where the fuck were you?
Because I don't trust myself enough to say any better.
And where did that come from?
Because I'm not putting myself in the first place. I've always put my parents and like people, including my mother, just in the first place in my own heart.
Mm.
Because I thought that doing so and being the perfect girl and the good girl, I would have her love and recognition, slash maybe help her not being so sad all the time. I think I felt very early on that my mom was depressed, and I was trying to help her in vain, obviously. So that I think that's why also I became the little girl that you have nothing to say against and not to be a problem on top of her sadness.
So the belief, if we trace it all the way back, the belief is what?
The belief is I'm gonna have the love of somebody else if I am giving the person the first place.
Yeah. So I'm only worthy of love if I prioritize other people's needs. Yeah?
I think so. Sounds pretty good.
Okay. Okay. And so we can see, therefore, if we track that forwards, that one dive, which has created problems for you in your career, your reaction came from a fact of, I don't have the right to speak out for my needs. You knew that something was wrong and you tried to do it in a nice way, in the good girl way, and even you got shouted at for that, which reinforces the belief. Yeah?
Especially because I knew at that time, at this specific time, as I was doing this dive, that I was doing something for me. Like,
Yes.
it's so ironic. And in the meantime, not ironic, actually. It's just probably what it was supposed to be. But the one time when I was really doing something for myself, and free diving was that to me also. That's why I'm loving this. It's because it's the first thing I've ever done for only myself, and he ruined it.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I still hate him.
You can share his name with me in a PM later.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's hold that there. You can make some more notes if you want. Lynn will come to you last because maybe the conversations that we're having now are going to help you a little bit. Tessa, and your knees. It's okay. Yeah.
And my breasts, apparently.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, I really recognize the sentence, I'm only worthy of love if I prioritize other people's needs. I've got I'm a people pleaser, and I've always been told to be the good girl as well, to be the responsible one towards my little brother. And to be a responsible girl, basically. When I came home with shredded clothes or broken knees, I wasn't good at all. I have the tendency to please others and to do things instead of doing things my way and prioritizing my priorities. To listen to what other people are saying. Also with the renovation of this house, for example, it's always been a battle to get my accent in the whole project. I just really recognize the thing, the really last sentence. I've written down a few beliefs, but one of them, which is very strong as well, that it's like I always have the feeling that I have to work in a sustainable, societal, responsible organization or NGO in order to earn my place in society. I have to be useful to this world because otherwise I have no right of existence. And I kind of feel like if I'm not doing something useful, like I'm a waste of air, basically.
Okay.
And it's something that's really really been hard for me now is with my relationship going bad and not having a job. It's like, and also I guess being in a kind of a midlife position, looking back up at the past 20 years and what the hell have I done and what the hell have I accomplished? I feel like I've not accomplished anything, and I want to do it drastically different.
Let's try to stay on the topic because it's going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what I've written down.
Yeah. Okay. We want to find one belief and just really zone in on that one belief. So what do you think? What is the one that you want to look at this evening? Like it's maybe the most important.
I think that I have to earn my place. Like that I have to accomplish something to earn my place, I don't know, in the world or
Okay.
Or to have the right to be.
Okay. So you have to be productive and contributing in a way. I mean, there's a clear value structure here as well, because of course different people would have different value systems. You know, my father's classic comment of, oh dear, I think she's going to get to the end of her life and realize that she talks rubbish the whole time about me. And he, you know, spent his life making cling film.
He spent his life making what?
Cling film and tissues. That was, you know, his great contribution to the world.
Okay.
But anyway, that's our thing. So there's a value system in place here that there is a. Who's got background? You two. There we go. So there's your value system in play here around what it is that you consider to be essentially of value. Yeah. So as you can see in my example with me and my father, it can be quite arbitrary. Yeah. And if you're not contributing according to your value system, then you're taking up space that you don't deserve. Where did you get that value system from?
I don't know.
Is it something that you grew up in? Is it something that you share with your parents? Is it something that you remember being inspired by a friend, peer group, a teacher? Or
I think it's
something organic from yourself?
As a child, I've always been very driven towards nature, and I think I've been inspired by people like I don't know, Jane Goodall or David Attenborough.
Okay.
And environmentalists or people that
So it's not kind of you share with your family.
No, I don't think so. My mom has always been a driven person as well, in her field, in psychology, and like helping children with autism and other mental disabilities.
Okay.
So maybe I've got it from them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I often heard as a child because we had a cousin, and he made of his hobby his job, and it's something I heard like a lot of times at home. It would be ideal. It's ideal if you can work in something that's your hobby. Mm-hmm. Your job is your hobby. It's not really a job.
Okay.
Maybe it's something like that.
Okay, so I mean, where I'm going with this is that where does the discomfort come from, therefore, if you are not contributing? Because for most of us, if we are not being the good girl, we're missing out on love from our caregivers. Yeah. But the example that you've brought, I'm just trying to really expand this now. It's like, where does the insecurity come from? Like, what are you afraid of getting or not getting, from whom or from where, if you are not contributing in the way that you believe is necessary for you? Where is the discomfort coming from?
I have no idea.
Are you afraid? Who are
Maybe.
you afraid of being rejected by if you are not contributing in the way that you believe you should be?
I don't know. Apart from myself. I don't know.
Okay, so so there is a fear of rejection by yourself, a fear of that you will not respect yourself, you will not be able to present yourself and be proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Okay. And how is that sabotaging you? How is that creating discomfort for you now?
I'm often afraid to step forward or to engage in something new. Because I also have a feeling that I'm a fraud.
By something new, do you mean out of the realm of what you consider to be worthy?
No, within that realm.
Mm-hmm. So why would you consider yourself to be a fraud? If this is the realm that you've spent your life working in, why would you consider yourself to be inauthentic or impossible?
It's because I do not have enough knowledge.
Why do you consider you don't have enough knowledge?
Because I don't.
Why? What is enough?
I don't know. I can't define enough.
Okay. So there is a part of you which has a belief around a judgment of enough, a benchmark of enough, which is, you can't even define it yourself, but it's there, coming from a part of you. I have a sense it's this nasty little P word, the perfectionism. Yeah. And so where do you think this might have come from? When did you develop this? It doesn't matter how much experience or knowledge I have, it's never going to be enough.
I guess when I was a kid.
Can you identify? I mean, did it come from things your parents said, or comparisons, or teacher, or somebody at school, in your peer group?
Well, I think it's also when it comes down to what environmental issues and nature and identifying ecosystem plants and that kind of stuff, it's probably from a peer group. And otherwise it's I think it's from my parents. They always kind of I say they rewarded us when we had like a good end score, but the threshold was high.
Okay. Yeah.
So I also always had to have an end score report or with 90% or something.
Okay.
And if it was less than that, they didn't reward me. So
Okay.
so they probably didn't say it was bad, but they said I could do better. And that's something that I've heard a lot when I was a child. Like, you can do better.
Okay. So you felt, so there's a part of you which believes that it doesn't matter how hard you try. And what happens in that is that the trying and the learning is significant all the time. And the failing, you know, what we're really seeing now is like the people who are the most successful are not afraid of failing. They received a message somehow at some point in their life that failing is actually an essential part of living and moving forwards. But people who were either rewarded for this sort of perfectionism or they were not rewarded, that means even like the 0.5% outside of perfectionism is a failure and equals non-acceptance. Okay, good. We're going to leave that there and come back to it. Is that okay? Good. Very good. Lynn, let's come to you now, my dear. If you can unmute.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I got something.
Great.
I need to be the responsible one and the sensible one in order to be worthy.
Sensible and responsible. Let's hear more about that.
And yeah, it's actually something going on like right now. As you said, I'm going to Dahab ridiculously 2 days after you're leaving, which was the worst timing. And my mom is freaking out about it. So she thinks it's irresponsible and dumb to go.
Not sensible. Everything that you think you have to be.
And it made me realize, like, it sets off a lot of things to me. Obviously, it like freaks me out too, because she just gives me all this energy of her freaking out. And I realized that this is like the actual first time in my life that I'm doing something that she's really not happy with. And I think that I have always tried to be kind of the sensible one and to be responsible. And maybe there's a lot of things that I haven't done because of that too, that I don't want to take risks and stuff. And I think that my mom, she's basically a single mom. She raised me single-handedly. And she was, I think it was a very traumatic experience for me when she had me. She was traveling around. She didn't have a steady job, a steady income. She didn't have like a steady apartment. She was in Israel at the time. And so she came basically back to Sweden with infant and nothing. So I think that kind of freaked her out, and she's been carrying that with her onwards. And now it's also been kind of an expectation on me to not like worry or to not do insensible like stuff, I think. Because both my parents have been like very hippie, traveling around, going around, doing like living life and stuff. And I've always been like, I need an education, I need security, I need this and blah, 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 blah. And maybe I also have had the idea that I wanted to travel and stuff, but I never went for it because it doesn't give me a sense of security. Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's a lot of clarity there. So basically, you basically integrated your mother's fear of instability and somehow took it upon yourself as a child to try to give that to her and sacrifice in the process your own personality or desires for actually maybe living out something which is very much a part of you because both of your parents were slight hippies, you know, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason it didn't work out for them, and you've been living off their karma, their trauma.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So your belief is I'm only worthy if I'm being sensible and responsible.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How did it go? I'm guessing you had a conversation with your mum last night because we were chatting yesterday. So I'm guessing it didn't go very well.
Well, it did. It was no yelling, no screaming, and nothing like that.
Mm.
But she keeps on like elaborating her arguments on why it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm nervous too. Like I can get freaked out too. Like I have that in me.
Mm.
So she says everything like pa 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 pa, you know. How to say argument, is that the word?
Yeah.
Like she has reason after reason after reason why it's a bad idea. And like I kind of knew that she was going to do that.
Mm.
But still, I mean, I respect her a lot. She's my mom. So, and I listen to her, and she's usually like a sensible person too, like nowadays. So, and when she says, you know, in that voice that she's right and that this is the way to go,
Yeah.
like, of course, it gives me kind of like I had freaks out and meltdowns about this too. And I still have this kind of scared or fear energy in me right now about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So we've kind of got a base understanding, each of us, of a belief, where it came from, and how it's sabotaging us. Lynn, I think you've got some noise in the background. What is it?
Oh, it's someone talking.
Is it David?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. No, it's
He's
okay.
in a meeting too.
Okay.
Should I mute? I can mute.
It's okay. I mean, while you're talking about it, I was just wondering if you could go to another room or something, but it's not too distracting. It's fine. Don't worry. Okay. All right. So what I want us to do from here is to get into relationship with that part of us, with that belief. We want to give it a place in our life. Okay, we want to see, it's like we want to befriend it. Yeah, so when I said that it's important to remember that it comes from a functional place within us in a particular space and time, which is why we need to go back and trace it to where was it born? At what stage in my life was this belief created that kept me feeling safe? Okay? So let's take my people pleaser, Sarah, little Sarah, as an example. So I might sort of take that part of me, the people pleaser part of me, and just give it a name. This is, let's say, Sunshine Sarah. Yeah? It's always shining, always happy, always lovely. Yeah? Sunshine Sarah. And I want to sort of have a relationship with her. Because in developing a relationship with that part of me, it means that she has much less chance of sabotaging me. Because she's not in the shadows. I'm not resisting her or rejecting her as something that shouldn't be there. I'm saying, I see that you did your very best for me when I was little, when I was a child. I understand why you did what you did, and I understand how it worked. And I understand that because it worked when I was young, it's extremely powerful. You are an extremely powerful presence in my life. But you're also you probably have the emotional maturity of between 4, 6, 8 years old. Yeah? And I'm now a 49-year-old woman. And it doesn't serve me to always be sunshine, to always be pleasing people. It serves me to have a full range of emotions and a full range of expression and a full range of communication so that I can develop my relationships in a much more full and authentic way. Okay? So this is an example of a conversation I might have with Sunshine Sarah. So what I want you to do is to give little Capucine, little Tessa, little Lynn this persona. Yeah? And I want you to journal. So we've got now 11 minutes until the top of the hour again. I want you to journal what you need to say to her. So acknowledging that she's there for you because she tried to protect you. She tried to shield your vulnerability. She tried to ensure that you were always loved and you always felt safe. And so really to acknowledge this was functional, this was important, it was needed and it served you. And you can express gratitude for that. But then to come from your mature aspect, your adult self, and to say, and now I know that I have skills and tools which you did not have. And so it's time for you. You can still shine if it's a sunshine or whatever it is, you know, you can still be responsible and sensible sometimes, but not at the cost of me exploring my dreams. Yeah? So we've got 10 minutes now to the top of the hour. I want you all to just journal this for yourselves. Go into you can start in meditation if you want. You can even draw her, visualize her, maybe have a picture of yourself from childhood in your mind, or there's somewhere close to you in your home that you could put on your desk in front of you, and really connect with that younger part of yourself, that aspect of yourself. Okay? If you've got any questions, you can ask, and otherwise it looks like you're all kind of diving into this already. Lovely. Okay, so last few seconds. We've got one little bit more to do with this. So what we've done is to identify the belief that protected us. Okay? But it didn't. It protected us in a very specific and very narrow way emotionally. Yeah? So it protected, just as we have sunshine, Sarah, there's another aspect of me which felt that it needed protecting. Okay? So there was a part of me as a young girl, vulnerable and fragile, that felt that this persona needed to be coming to the fore so that it felt safe. Okay? It wasn't me that really needed that. It was another part of me. Okay? So I just want you to, again, try to think about to create another persona, create another name for that part of you that was maybe scared of not being accepted, of not being loved, of being rejected, of not being good enough. I want you to take that little fragile girl also and to give her a name, to welcome her into your consciousness, your adult consciousness, your mature emotional world. Yeah, can you connect with her also? Lynn, do you have her? Does she have a name you can share?
A name? I don't know.
Can you describe her? Give her. She needs to have a place in your consciousness now.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah. Can you describe her? Like what part of you back then, little Lynn?
Well, it is funny that you say like Little Lynn, because I was actually called that when I was a child.
Okay.
There was even like younger kids than I called me Little Lynn.
Right.
And like I don't know if I can come up with a name, but like I have this entity, this little person. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was she afraid of?
I think she was afraid of being alone.
She was afraid of being alone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Capucine?
I don't really get to a name yet.
Okay, that's all right.
But she's definitely frightened. So probably gonna call her frightened little Capucine.
Frightened little Capucine. Okay, good. And Tessa? Oh, you're muted, darling.
Voila. I think I'm a bit lost. I don't really have a name either for the previous one, like little Tessa. or maybe perfectionist, Tessa, I don't know. But perfectionism is not really a belief, I guess.
It can be to be perfect is an identity, but it's more the perfectionist you was shielding, was protecting this fear. So it's like, what was actually the fear of not getting rewarded for being, getting the right results at school, getting the good school report? Like, how did it make you feel when you didn't get the praise? When it wasn't, when your entire year came down to an all or nothing, a praise or it just wasn't good enough.
I think rejection.
Okay. Yeah, so there was a part of you which believed that you were being rejected.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or just, I think feeling that you're not good enough is a belief, but it's also a feeling, I guess.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
That you're like not good enough to belong to, you get rejected because you're just not fun enough, lovable enough, intelligent enough, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever enough.
Yeah, exactly. So now we see, it's like, we could put socks on our hands and have two puppets. Yeah. and we can start to see that there's a dynamic between these two parts of ourselves. Yeah, the fearful part. So for Tessa, fear of rejection. For Capucine, she was frightened. For Lynn, aloneness. Yeah, it's all fear, frightened of rejection, frightened of being, I don't know, with Capucine is because it's frightened, fear, but what were you frightened of? Maybe you can explore that a little bit more. Frightened of being alone. So there's this vulnerable part inside of you as a child, which of course, because you were small, because you were young, because you were 100% dependent on your family to take care of you, and they were dealing with all kinds of their own weird shit, as families always do. Yeah, there is the perfect family does not exist. The perfect person does not exist. We are all of us, 100% dealing with all of this. So there was this little part of you which felt afraid, and there was this other little part of you which like, I think I know how to deal with this. I'm just going to come between you and the rest of the world, and I'm going to protect you. And it's a mask that we were wearing. Okay? And this frightened part of ourselves knew that it was in danger at that point because of a particular feeling in the body. Yeah, our emotions trigger a physical response. And so as soon as we felt that physical sensation of fear of being alone, fear of being rejected, fear of not being good enough, whatever it might be, Sunshine Sarah, or, responsible Lynn, or whatever it is, perfect Tessa, came to the fore and was like, it's okay, I'm going to try my hardest in this situation, and I'm not going to let anyone see that we're afraid. I'm going to handle this. That feeling of fear still comes up in certain situations in our life, in our work, in our relationships, even still with our interaction with our parents, even though we're adults. We're still locked in this cycle, and what happens is because we had this very strong, powerful experience as children that this worked. And so for the rest of our life, we feel that feeling, and this is what we do. Okay? Now, which one of these is true? And by true, I mean absolutely true, absolute truth.
None?
Yes. Very good. Yeah. Neither of them are coming from the absolute truth of our being, of our essence. Okay? So the picture that I want you to start to create around this is that we have a lot of these partnered up personas. There's the fear and there's the protection. Yeah? And they're just personas. The fear is often something we've inherited or something that we've been told. The protection is something that we create ourselves. Neither of them are true. And at the truth, we have this strong core of spirit, which is love, which knows it is perfect. Or, to take the pressure off, knows it is perfectly imperfect. Okay? Just not to trigger the perfectionists in us again. Okay? Which knows that failure is a part of life, which knows that challenge and learning is a part of life, which knows that it is here to grow, which knows that it is here to be in relationship and to explore, but which knows that it is also a sovereign being. And it no longer needs to refer to our parents or other authorities that we took to be the truth as children to validate ourselves. Does that make sense? Yes, Capucine.
It totally makes sense. But I have a question about the frightened, the fear persona. You said that it was inherited.
Inherited.
You don't know how to say that word.
That one, yeah.
Is what do you mean? Is this our education, or it's we are having this from our parents and grandparents and grandparents?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, mainly it comes from our parents, and this stuff goes back 7 generations, because your parents dealt with you according to the trauma that they experienced in their relationship with their parents, who parented according to their trauma that they based on the relationship that they had with their parents, who were parenting from their trauma. And so we have like the echo of 7 generations going back. Yeah, and just as I say, we're all perfectly imperfect. That includes our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and everyone going back as well. We are all here doing our best. So this is not here to say, get straight on the phone to your mum and your dad and tell them how shit they were. Because that probably isn't going to help very much. But it's to recognize that they were dealing with their own trauma. Trauma is not simply trauma with the big T, the abuse, the alcoholism, the whatever. It is trauma also with a little t, which is just simply the stuff that we're talking about here. I was afraid of being rejected. I was afraid of being alone. That is trauma with a little t, because it goes on for most of our life, that we are living somehow in this fear. And we were living somehow in this, what do I need to do to make everything okay? Our nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system is on. How do I be okay? Okay, so yes, inherited, the vast majority is through family systems. But of course, we can also have people who are important in our lives. Teachers are can be very influential, mentors. And when we get older, also our peer group can be a very powerful reference for us. And also, I just want to touch on something that Tessa said, that her inspiration came from people like Jane Goodall and David Attenborough. Well, if you're going to compare yourself to people like that, of course you're going to believe you're going to fall short. Myself in creating my videos, I was like, but I'm not Deepak Chopra. Fuck, who the hell am I to, create an online training program? It doesn't, we will always compare ourselves to people that inspire ourselves, and we always compare ourselves negatively to them. So that can also be a self-created trauma if we don't know how to just go, they inspire me, they're still human, I'm sure they have shit days, I'm sure they fuck up, I'm sure life is difficult, but what can I learn from them? Maybe they have a really unique approach to dealing with challenge. If you watch, there's a documentary about Jane Goodall, and when I think when she left the forest, and she decided to get married and have a family, and and in the end the marriage didn't work. Does she just go, well, I gave up on the chimpanzees and now my marriage hasn't worked, I'm a failure? No, 30 years later she's still campaigning, she's still an inspiration, because she kept going, because she believed in her vision. That's what gave her the success that she had. So she didn't allow the trauma of failure to be a setback. It was just, okay, this is a challenge on the road. Her vision was bigger, and that vision came from where? It came from her spirit. Yeah. So Tessa's vision, the environment; Capucine's vision, the ocean; Lynn's vision, travel, freedom. Yeah, whatever it might be. I'm projecting here. You can fill in the gaps. But hold on to, get clear on what is your vision, and feel it in your heart. This is me. And this fear that pops up came from, oh my God, I was 10. Really? I'm still following that? That's crazy. Okay. How do I feel in me, the adult, mature me? And this, the protector, is it protecting me, or is it stopping me trying? Is it creating barriers to me standing up for myself, me expressing myself, me setting my boundaries? Yeah. Any last, well, let's have a little sharing on this and just see how you're all feeling before I just go, okay, job done, off we go. Capucine, let's start with you.
Leave us crying in the corner.
Yeah, let's just make sure you're all okay before we finish off. Capucine, how are you feeling? What are you taking from this?
It was super interesting. I can't believe I almost couldn't make it to the score. I would have been my loss. It was it's like actually the pairs, of personas. I can see clearly now, I think for the very first time, this frightened little Capucine. She's really more afraid. She's stronger than protection Capucine. She's even stronger. So I'm just realizing that I'm having those two personas, and I thought protection was my biggest problem. Problem. Actually, this is frightened little Capucine that I need to comfort, rather than trying to make protection Capucine to shut up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, hang on, Twinkle. Ow. Trying to my leg with her claws. Come here, Twinkie. Come on. Yeah. So it's like these personas, we need to welcome them all in, because we are fragmented. Yeah. There's very few parts of our active personality traits which we accept and which we allow to be seen. And actually we need to integrate, welcome and integrate all of it to be whole. So come on then, come on. Oh, yes. Oh, hang on. Ooh, fat cat. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So
Are the other kittens still there?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a big scare today that one of them hadn't been seen since yesterday, and that's never happened. And I was like, no, not the week before I leave. But she turned up, thank God. So they're now locked in my bedroom. I think I'm not going to let them out for the rest of the week. I'm so terrified.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, back to
Sorry.
topic. Yeah, all of these personas, this is sort of shadow work. The fear aspects are in the shadows, because they're the sides that we think are not acceptable and not wholesome, not worthy, not lovable. And the protective ones, which are the ones that come to the front, tend to be maybe aspects of ourselves that we can come into relationship more readily. But they both have to be there, they both have to be seen, and they both have to be integrated. So you can do a lot around this. You can do drawing. Yeah. One exercise that I was given by my teacher to deal with this is to go back into childhood things. Some parents store everything, some don't, some throw everything away. So it depends really on you and your family, like how you are about keeping things. But to try to create an image of yourself. It could also just be a collage with some photos and some pictures that you find in magazines, which sort of embody the energy of the younger self, which needs to be healed. And whether that's the fear aspect or the protective aspect, or both. Yeah, you can bring them both together, and just really spend some time and talk to them. So whether it's actually creating a doll, creating a collage, whether it's journaling, whether it's drawing, feel what is the best way for you to have that, for you to develop that relationship, and to bring those traits, those personality traits, really into a real relationship with who you are today, so that you can really start to see them, because this softens the dynamic. I'm really glad that this has been such a powerful session for you, Capucine. That's great. Tessa, would you like to share a little bit about what you take away from this session?
Yeah, for me it was a bit confusing to really identify both of them, but I can see the mechanism, and it's quite, I just say, revealing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that? Yeah. Like that you've got this part that wants to, like that the belief is the part that wants to protect our fear, which is a very strong mechanism that I want to dive deeper in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
Not sure how I'm gonna do it with a collage or drawing or
Just
it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what you chose is maybe a little bit of a complicated one, because I feel it comes, there's lots of layers, and it started with your own rejection of self, but you know, we took it down to the parents. I would say try to start at the source with little Tessa getting her school reports, because that's really the source. and where that fear of rejection was born, and go from there. So you really want to trace it back, like, yeah, can I remember the first time I felt that fear of rejection, that fear of not being good enough, like my parents not being happy with something I've brought home from school, and you're there and and you think you've done well, you got B's, and then there's this moment where it's not good enough.
For me, it's really hard to go that far back.
Yeah. Some of it, yeah. So
I just can't remember everything. I think if I think about childhood trauma, it's mostly not about my parents. It's more about being teased at school or things like that.
Okay. The best way to try to dig into this is in a relaxed state. So when you're sitting there going, what can I remember? What can I remember? Maybe just set an intention before you go on a walk in the forest with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I welcome any memories and any feelings to come back. Because often we repress them, and they stay repressed because we're in resistance. We remain in resistance, so they can't come. So you can have the conversation of, I am now adult Tessa, who knows that she's good enough, and I just welcome these parts of me to come in whatever way feels safe for them right now, so that I can begin to reintegrate them back, so that they no longer feel that they're not part of me, that they don't belong, that they're not worthy. So that in that way you also go into relationship in the communication around, you're part of me, you're welcome, you're always welcome, you always have been, and it's safe.
Are there any self-hypnosis protocols or something you can do around that?
I am sure. One way might be to record your own nidra and in Shavasana. So you can write down the conversation that you want to have with your repressed memories without being specific, and just say, I'm going into a healing process, and I welcome all parts of myself to come back to be reintegrated and healed, if they feel it is safe at the moment to do so. You don't want to overwhelm yourself either. So things will present themselves when they're ready to be seen. The psyche is an amazingly intelligent and sensitive thing.
I just said when we were writing down about the first part, I just had the word granddad that came up into my head.
Oh, okay.
And he was a forest guard. And he passed away when I was 4 years old. But he used to play cards with me. And these animal cards, where I had to identify all the animals on the card. So I think there's something there as well.
Yeah, maybe he was a mentor for you, and in a very, to use the word in its fullest, he was very formative for you at that stage where you were very, we're sponges as children. For you, that feels like it was like, maybe it was a trauma that he disappeared out of your life at that stage, and he's a guide. Maybe you can call on him and his spirit to continue to guide you. He's, as a grandfather, he's always there with you. He's always there in spirit, and maybe that's another relationship to develop.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lynn, let's come to you, my love.
I think it was really good today. I feel a bit more calm,
That's good.
like not so just kind of grabbed by all these sensations, and less reactive. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is
It was
the quality
good
of
to have some
spirit.
perspective on that, because I think this is something that has been very present that I never really had a good look on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it would be interesting to see, because you are in an active process with this right now with your mum. And so to see how this, I feel calmer, to be less reactive. A relationship only takes one half of the relationship to change in order to change the dynamic. So your calm, I don't know, it may trigger her, or it may be that it gives her a sense of, my daughter trusts herself and I need to trust my daughter. I don't know, but as I say, the dynamic changes when one side shifts. So
Yeah, I have no idea how she's gonna take it or which way she's gonna go with it, but either way I feel like more reassurance with me not being so attached to her reaction.
Yeah.
That she can have her reaction, I will allow her to have it, and hopefully I will not be so drawn into that. And if she goes like in a non very pleasant way, I can just ride or wait for her, and I'm sure she'll come around. And I won't be so affected by it or drawn into it meanwhile, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, you can bring this new information into conscious communication with your mum. I still love you, mum. Just because I'm doing something which you can't understand, I'm not rejecting you. So it's almost like a reversal. I'm not rejecting you and who you are. I'm just following my truth and living my life. Because I think the fear of rejection probably goes both ways. And she's probably attached also to her role as mother, which is why she still gets so triggered. I have to take care of this girl. She's my responsibility. I'm an adult now, and this feels right for me. And it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just to give her some time to come around as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. So nice to be here with you tonight. This time next week, I'm going to be in La Palma.
Oh, so excited for you.
I'm nervous about what I still have to do, but I don't think it's that much. What doesn't get done was not meant to be done, which is how I was exactly when I left London. If it doesn't get done, then it's clearly not important enough to get done. So it's all right. Yeah. Yeah. I hope to see you on Wednesday evening, plant-based diet. So take some time to journal on this. However, whether that's in written form, whether it's in spoken form, whether it's creating yourself a nidra, whether it's doing a collage, whether it's actually making a doll version of yourself and having that, it's like develop this relationship or these relationships. Yeah, it's about integration. becoming whole and healing. Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you. It was very, very powerful, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I've just found this on my desk, which is like an affirmation card. It says flexibility. I let myself flow with life situations. As a master, I am not flustered or stressed by difficulties. I let everything go, passing through me like water through my fingers. There we go. I don't know if that's mine or ours, but it feels like good advice. Just I guess. All right, enjoy your evening. Thank you for being here. I love you.
Thank you.
And maybe Capucine and Lynn, I don't think you're going to meet in Dahab. I think we're all just going to be here at different times.
Oh.
It's such a shame.
When are you going, Capucine? When are you?
Well, I think I'll be probably more in September.
Oh.
Shame.
Yeah.
Michelle is in Dahab also.
Who?
Michelle Fouquet, who did the yogi detox with us last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I haven't seen. Okay. Maybe say her a
Yeah.
little, drop her a little hello.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think she's gonna start live there.
She's gonna start what?
Alive there.
Oh, she's moving here.
I think so. Yeah, I haven't spoken to her, but I think yeah,
Okay.
she's been in Dahab a few times this year, and yeah.
All right. Yeah, she loves it here.
Yeah, what's not to love?
Cool. Oops.
Oops.
So,
A little bit of
Yeah.
resistance coming up.
Following my excitement.
so I'll probably see you not on Wednesday, but on Sunday.
Next Sunday, no call. It's
Okay.
It's a pause week because I'm actually going to be on a plane.
I remember this.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
can't make it. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it on Wednesday. So I'm going to
Okay.
see like
No problem.
Is it Wednesday morning or
Evening.
Wednesday?
So when
evening?
it's evening Sunday, it's evening Wednesday. You would follow the Sunday schedule.
Yeah, for me it's gonna be hard to make it as well, I think.
Okay.
I
Well,
have to
whoever's
check.
there will be nice, and whoever's not, have fun.
Okay, see you.
Alrighty. Love to you
Mm.
all.
Ciao.
Bye.
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 Thank you.